So is Israel enacting an assassination spree? Are they on an assassination spree? That's what a lot of people want to know, because lately they've seemed to kill off a lot of different leaders. We're going to go over exactly who they have gone after and exactly how. Now, we know about Ismail Haniyeh. We talked about him yesterday, and we're going to go over exactly how he was killed, because there's some conflicting evidence on this one. But I want to start off with this tweet from Ben Shapiro. This is what people are talking about. And these are kind of being championed as a big win for Israel in their fight. Here's what he tweeted out. Israel kills Hezbollah #2. Israel kills Hamas #1. Israel kills head of IRCG Aerospace Forces. Let's go over this one by one. And he says this was all in the last 24 hours. So in 24 hours, they took out these three top leaders in these organizations, Hezbollah, Hamas, and the IRGC. Let's start off with the first one. He says Israel kills Hezbollah #2. He's talking about Fouad Shakur, who was killed in Beirut. So this happened on July 30th. Israel bombed a residential neighborhood in Beirut that killed him, as well as at least one or two others. The Hezbollah leader now has vowed to respond to Israel's attack in southern Beirut. They said that this was not just an assassination operation, this was an assault. He said this today. And he also said that the response would go beyond the scope of daily border skirmishes between Hezbollah and Israeli forces, and that the retaliation would be studied. He stopped short of declaring this as going into war, but he did say that Israel crossed red lines in Beirut, as well as in Tehran, with the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh, which we're going to get to just now. So since then, there has been a bit of a retaliation from Hezbollah into Israel. They fired off a bunch of rockets. We'll get to that a little bit later. I'll show you what's happening, what's happening with that. But let's go on to this. The second part of Ben Shapiro's tweet. Israel kills Hamas #1. Talking about Ismail Haniyeh. All right, we have a little bit more information now, but it's still quite muddled. We don't have a lot of information, but yesterday, Ismail Haniyeh, July 31st, he was in the middle of the night in Tehran time, was killed. What was told initially, the initial reports that he was killed in Tehran, he was there for the inauguration ceremony of the new Iranian president. We were told the initial reports were that it was an airstrike by Israel. That would have been pretty damning on Iran. I mean, the fact that they would allow a missile to infiltrate their air defenses, to hit one of their buildings, to take out, in a targeted strike, to take out Ismail Haniyeh, as well as one of his guards, that would have been incredibly, incredibly embarrassing for Iran. It would also rile up a lot of the people in Iran, rile up the military forces. It would be just a red line that would definitely take them potentially into war. Now, Iran has been pretty good about tempering that. They know Israel wants them to go to war. They keep baiting them. We want to go to war. We want to go to war. And Iran keeps pushing it back, and they never really take the bait. They respond to Israel's aggressions with a more measured approach, because they don't really actually want to get into an all-out war for whatever reason that is. Israel has nukes, right? So they don't want to get into a nuclear war. And Israel wouldn't use, people say, well, if they have nukes, why don't they use it on Gaza? Well, because they'd be bombing themselves, nuclear fallout. You don't want to be bombing your own territory, essentially. And make no mistake, Palestine is essentially Israel's territory. They've occupied it. They're living all on the land. They share those resources. They share the water. They're not going to bomb themselves. But would they send a nuke off to Iran? Very possibly that they would. So Iran doesn't want to get into that war with Israel. They've always responded in a more measured approach. Here's where things get kind of weird. Actually, let's move on to the last one. I want to finish up this Ben Shapiro tweet, and then we're going to go on and talk more about exactly what happened with Ismail. Israel then, they said #3 in 24 hours. Israel kills head of IRGC Aerospace Forces. So they're talking about Amir Ali Hajizadeh. And Amir Hajizadeh, they said, was killed in Syria. He has since been seen alive, since Israel has claimed that they killed him. He was at Haniyeh's funeral in Iran after Ben Shapiro tweeted that out, after Israel claimed that they had taken this guy out. He is not dead. He is very much alive. So Okay, now we know that it's not actually, so they've killed 2 out of the 3 on that list. They've then since come out saying once it was found out that they didn't actually take out Hajizadeh, they now are saying, oh, okay, we didn't kill him, but we killed another guy. We'll get to who they said that they killed last month. But let's go back to Ismail Haniyeh. This is weird. New York Times came out with this piece saying that they've got now the information. They spoke to some inside sources and they now know how the guy was killed. And they wrote a story about this. They said an explosive device, it was a bomb. They're claiming it was a bomb that was planted inside of the building 2 months prior. They think it was, how would they know that the bomb was planted 2 months prior? But they say an explosive device was covertly smuggled into the Tehran guest house where he was staying, according to 7 Middle Eastern officials, including 2 Iranians and an American. So when they say according to 7 Middle Eastern officials, they mean Israeli. That's what they mean. So including 2, so maybe 2 of them were Iranian and 1 was an American. 7 Israelis. The bomb had been hidden approximately 2 months ago in the guest house, according to 5 of the Middle Eastern officials. The guest house is run and protected by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and is part of a large compound and in an upscale neighborhood in northern Tehran. Haniyeh was in Iran's capital for the presidential inauguration. The bomb was detonated remotely. The 5 officials said once it was confirmed that it was inside his room at the guest house, the blast also killed a bodyguard. The explosion shook the building, shattered some windows, caused partial collapse of an exterior wall. According to the 2 Iranian officials, members of the Revolutionary Guards briefed on the incident. Some damage was also evident in a photograph of the building shared with the New York Times. We have that image, I think. Do we have an image of the building? Okay, so it definitely doesn't look like an airstrike, right? That looks definitely more likely like a bomb. And I would trust that the 5 Israelis who are talking to the New York Times probably had some pretty inside knowledge into exactly how this was done. So it wasn't an airstrike. Now, the Iranians still say it was an airstrike. They claim there was a statement that was issued. This is according to political correspondent of the Far's new agency. They claim that 24 hours after the assassination operation, there's more details that have come out. And they say, as mentioned in 2 statements by the IRGC, the residents of when they say residents, they mean where he was staying. It's not his house. Of the militant martyr, Dr. Ismail Haniyeh, was hit by a terrorist act by the Zionist regime. And they said that it was an airstrike. They said it was hit by a projectile that destroyed parts of the roof and window of his residence on the 4th floor of the building. He and one of his guards were martyred in the investigations. It has been confirmed that this terrorist act was planned and carried out by the Zionist regime. So the Iranians are claiming an airstrike. The Israelis, we can assume, who've been talking to the New York Times, say, no, it was a bomb. It was planted 2 months ago. Either way, it's incredibly embarrassing for Iran to have this happen. An airstrike would have been more embarrassing. So I'm not sure why they haven't cleared that up. I would think that they wouldn't want for anybody to think that Israel got a drone in there and they were able to drone the building. I think that had Israel droned the building and actually did an airstrike, enacted an airstrike, they would have admitted that. They wouldn't say it was a bomb that they had to sneak out and plant 2 months earlier. And they said that it was a very difficult operation. They said that it was, it took a lot of, it was a, let's see if I can find exactly what they said. They said that it took months to plan. It required extensive surveillance of the compound. And so that's according to their Middle Eastern sources, who we can assume are Israelis. So I don't think the place was an airstrike. That's what initially was reporting around. It likely wasn't. The Israelis would say, yeah, we gotcha. Look, we can get through your air defenses. Better watch out. But that's not what they're saying. They're saying, it took a long time. It was a lot of planning. It was hard to do. And we planted that bomb, and the bomb sat there for 2 months, which is also extremely embarrassing for Iran. And then we detonated it. So they clearly have somebody on the inside, probably somebody who's very trusted on the inside would be my guess, who hid that bomb. And I'm sure that they've got people working on their team very close with the Iranians. So now you've got Ismail has been buried in Doha. They sent his body back to Qatar, where he actually lives. And there was a massive funeral that came out for him. And the one guy that Israel claimed that they had assassinated, or Ben Shapiro claimed that they had assassinated, was actually seen at this funeral. So that guy is not dead. However, once they realized that guy wasn't dead, they came out and said that they killed Mohammad Deif. And they said that they did this back July 13th. So they said they just came out with this today. So this guy was apparently killed July 13th. And they're now saying today, when that other guy turns up at the funeral, well, no, we got another one. And this all leads to why do they feel like they need to say all of this? But let me just tell you about this guy they claim they killed today. So they said today that they received new intelligence in the recent hours that gave them the confidence to confirm that Deif was killed nearly 3 weeks after it carried out the strike in Khan Yunis. So this was inside of Gaza. They said that they operated an airstrike. They killed the guy, and it all was good. They said that it was a precise targeted strike on a compound where Deif and other commanders were staying. However, that strike on July 13th hit a designated humanitarian zone that killed 90 Palestinians. So it wasn't exactly precise or targeted. They're claiming, yes, it was, because that guy was there. So they think that it's perfectly acceptable to kill 90 people, 90 innocent people, in order to take out one bad guy. Imagine if our government had that viewpoint, if the FBI could just take out the bad guy in your office building. They're going after your coworker, the one bad guy in your office building, and they go in, they take him out, and they kill you with him, and actually everybody on the floor, because, well, we got to get that one bad guy. So they target him. They said that they took him out. However, and they say that his death, by the way, would make him the highest ranking Hamas military official killed in the Strip since the start of the war 9 months ago. So this is meant to look like a win. It's also meant to excuse the 90 deaths. It's also meant to cover up the fact they didn't actually kill the IRCG guy that they thought they killed. But the thing is, we don't actually know if they killed this guy. Hamas actually wrote, a Hamas official wrote on Telegram that only the military wing, the Al-Qassam brigades, is able to confirm or deny Deif's death. So they have yet to confirm that the guy is dead and that he's been dead since July 13th. So it's hard to say if he's actually been taken out. A couple of questions arise from all of these targeted assassinations, from all of this. And that is, okay. I actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I take it back. There is a possibility Israel did enact an airstrike in Iran, that Iran is saying, yeah, they struck us with a drone or something. I mean, that would be embarrassing for Iran. I'm not sure why they'd admit that unless they're going to be transparent with their people and everybody and be honest about it. The reason why Israel might not want to admit that they did an airstrike and they killed that one guy and his guard in that strike is because that is very clearly a targeted strike. So if they're able to do that, why aren't they doing that all the time? Why are they taking out 90 people in the process? Why are they taking out entire buildings? They also bombed a school today, by the way. They took out 15 Palestinians who were sheltering in a school. And we stop reporting on these things because it happens every single day in Israel, it feels like. Every day it's a school or a hospital or a humanitarian zone or something. And it's been like this throughout the duration of the war. But the question with all of these targeted strikes, if they're able to target people and take out these leaders, why haven't they done it early? Why didn't they do it earlier? Why are they able to do targeted strikes that don't have mass casualties? Why? And yet in Gaza, they're leveling the place. And that's the question they don't want us to ask. So maybe that's why they're saying, oh, no. In Iran, it wasn't a hyper-targeted airstrike that can take out the leaders of Hamas. No, it was a bomb. It took a long time for planning. We had to plant the bomb. I mean, they came out with this a day later after they hear the chatter, after taking this guy out. Maybe the chatter was, well, if they can do that, why are they leveling all of Gaza? Why are they taking out their civilian infrastructure? Why are there so many dead women and children in Gaza if they're able to have this precise of attacks? And they are able to do this. They are able to have very, very precise attacks. Here's a tweet that was put out by Elijah Haniyeh. He says, now, I don't know exactly where his source comes from, but he says Israel reportedly planted sophisticated spyware through a WhatsApp message sent to Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh. The software allowed Israeli intelligence to localize his exact position within his apartment. Subsequently, Haniyeh was assassinated following a conversation he had with his son, during which his location was pinpointed. The spyware in question is believed to be similar to the notorious Pegasus software developed by the Israeli cyber intelligence firm NSO Group. Pegasus has the capability to infiltrate smartphones, allowing the operator to access messages, photos, and location data, and even control the phone's camera and microphone without the user's knowledge. Such advanced technology enables real-time surveillance and precise targeting, making it an invaluable tool for intelligence operations. So that's really scary if they could just hack into your phone like that. But apparently they were able to use this encrypted spyware. They clearly are able to do that with everybody. Now, I know a lot of these guys are not using any technology in that way. You know, they're avoiding cell phones and whatnot. But the Israelis reportedly, allegedly, are very good at spying, and they're very good at gathering information about people's whereabouts. They know, for example, how many women and children are in buildings before they bomb them. They know how many people have evacuated. They know all of this information. So wouldn't they know where all of the leaders are? Wouldn't they know where all of the hostages are? Wouldn't they know, if they're able to know where all of these various leaders are, that they're doing these targeted strikes? I mean, lots of questions arise from this, which is, if they know all of that, then why are they operating their war in Gaza the way that they're operating it? And we know the answer. Because that's not what this war is about against the Gazans. They're trying to clear that land, and that's been evident from the very beginning. They're trying to clear them from the north. We talked about this at the beginning of the war. They were going to push everybody further south, further south, further south, further south, until they got them right up to the Egyptian border. And they're basically pressuring Egypt, saying, take these people, quit being jerks, be humane, take these people. Why would you want to keep them in a war zone? And Egypt's looking at them like, how about you just stop the war? How about that? Why are you telling us we're not humane when you're the ones who's killing them? So we know that the real reason why they're carpet bombing Gaza, and that is just to clear the land, when they're especially able to do these very targeted airstrikes and targeted assassinations. They're able to take out the leadership. They say they want to be able to do that. They want to debilitate Hamas. Well, then do it in a targeted way, rather than actually going after all of these innocent women and children and blowing up every ounce of infrastructure. 70% of Gaza, I believe, at this point is pretty much annihilated. So a lot of questions arise from that. The question now is, one of the important questions is, now what? What type of retaliation is going to happen against Israel from Hezbollah and from the IRGC? Hezbollah today has lobbied, this is a ton of rockets that have now been lobbed at Israel. Hezbollah just fired all these off. Apparently 5 of them hit inside of Israeli territory. Don't know if they actually hit. It doesn't sound like they actually hit anybody or did any severe damage, but Israel claims, I think, that about 5 of them came through. So maybe that's all Hezbollah will do about their number 2 in command being killed by the Israelis. Maybe they'll do more than this. We have yet to see how the Iranians are going to react. Right now, they're doing they do their mourning, and this is the protocol. Guy was killed. Muslims have very quick burials. I think they have to do it within 48 or 72 hours. They take that time to mourn, and then once they stop mourning is when they start planning. So we'll see. They have raised the red flag of revenge. We'll see how the Iranians are going to respond to the attack inside of their soil. Very embarrassing for them. It's going to make it very difficult for world leaders to want to go to Tehran and visit, and especially when they're supposed to be in a safe house and they get killed inside of an Iranian safe house. That's incredibly embarrassing for Iran. I don't think they can let this go unanswered. We'll see exactly what they end up doing. Hey guys, this was just a clip of a longer show. Catch the full show by going to KimIversonShow.com. It is free. It airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. You could go back now and watch this full interview. I highly recommend it. Again, go to KimIversonShow.com. Thank you so much for watching.